Set the beat off flow. Whoa.
What is going on, everybody? It is the Money Magic Gaming Podcast. Today, we are here to talk Shazam. But first, I am part of your co-host team, The Infinite. I have my partner over here. His name is the good old Dan Estrata. What is up, my guy? What is going on?
Sorry, I think I knocked something over, but whatever. Hello, everybody. This is me, Dan Estrata. This is the Money Match Gaming Podcast talk show extravaganza spectacular. Today, we are talking about a relatively new movie in the DC extended universe. I think I'm honestly not 100% sure if they're still doing a DC universe, because it seems like every 3 or 4 movies, the person who's playing Batman or the person who's playing Superman decides they don't want to do it anymore. So it's technically part of the DC extended universe, I think. We'll talk about that. But yeah, we're talking about Shazam. It's directed by David Sandberg, and it's starring Zachary Levi, who you may know from the show Chuck. I didn't, but that's where I'm told he was from. And then Mark Strong, who plays a villain in pretty much everything. And would you ever guess he played a villain in this movie?
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's
Wait a minute. Is
what?
that the same guy in the Kingsman?
Kick-Ass? Yeah, he's in Kingsman. He's a good guy in Kingsman.
Yeah, see? I was like, I
But
thought I recognized him.
he's a bad guy in Kick-Ass and a lot of other things. He just kind of he plays a decent bad guy. Like, he's not, we'll talk about him later, I'm sure. But yeah, those are the main characters. Do you want to
Of course.
give a little synopsis?
Yep. So real quick, Shazam. We all have a little superhero inside of us. It just takes a bit of magic to bring it out. In a 14-year-old Billy Batson's case, all you need to do is shout one word to transform into an adult superhero, Shazam! Still a kid at heart, Shazam reveals a new version of himself by doing what any other teen would do, have fun while testing out newfound powers. But he'll need to master them quickly before the evil Dr. Thaddeus Sivana can get his hands on Shazam's magical abilities. Done.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. Thoughts? Did I go first?
I went first last time. So.
Okay. All right, then I'll go first. It was good. It was fine. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. I mean, it was pretty great. It was enjoyable. The only weird thing about the movie, and I haven't heard anybody else say this yet, but I've been saying it all day, this movie felt like it was straight out of the 90s. Like, everything about it, other than the fact that cell phones existed in this movie, it was very 90s. Like, from the opening scene where a kid, like, tricks the cops into locking them into a building to then go into the cop car, steal the dude's lunch, and then the cops like find him later and they're like, hey, did you at least save me the fries? Because that's totally how a cop would handle that situation. Dude, like everything about this movie screams 90s, except for the scene where he's like, I'm charging your phone. And honestly, it could have been in a 90s movie. It would just be like, I'm charging your beeper. That's it. Like, this movie, I feel like, was made to be in the 90s, and then they were just like, the guy was just like, nah, we can't make it now. And yeah, that's how I felt about the movie. Like, the movie was just like, I was like, man, if I saw this when I was a kid, I would have loved it. But Yeah, I mean, I like it. It was good. It was enjoyable. It was
Yeah.
very 90s. Your thoughts?
I mean, this movie was really silly. I don't know if there could be any other words to describe this movie, in my opinion. It's overall really light, and as far as the plot wise, like I just wish I would have got more of like the history of Shazam, and maybe I should just stop looking to actually understand characters in movies. Like, you say it pretty much every time. It's really hard to flush out anything in a movie and this, that, and the other. I'm just expecting a little bit more history and a little bit more concrete line of what their powers are. And I don't know. It goes on and on and on, and I still don't feel like that ever really gets answered.
At least in this movie, he's kind of learning the powers, so he doesn't even know what he has. Like,
Which is
kind
fair.
of learns as he goes. But also, I didn't know that he had 5 other mini Shazams that he was just able to make. I didn't know that was a thing that he could do. Spoiler for the end of the movie, he turns all of his foster friends into, or brothers and sisters, I guess you can call them, into also Shazams. So I didn't know how that worked, but he did it.
I think it works in several different ways depending on what universe you kind of go into. So, like, in some, like, Shazam's the combination of a bunch of kids in one body, so they come together and make one Shazam.
Like a Megazord.
Yeah. So, like, what you see as Shazam is what he turns into. After they all yell Shazam. So there's like a movie that came out maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years. Where like Wonder Woman and Aquaman get together or whatever, and then they have like this nasty divorce, and then there's like this war between those two countries and stuff over love, and Shazam's in it, and Wonder Woman murders them. But it's kind of, I don't know. DC has this weird type of situation to where I feel like they don't know how to like make a movie in the middle. It's like either completely kind of just random things like this movie, or it's just really dark. Like,
well, like whatchamacallit was kind of in the middle. Aquaman was light, but it still tried to have its serious undertone, sort of.
It was a little bit dark in my opinion. The whole race of like kind of evil, crazy fishmen. Into this giant.
But I mean, most of the movie was very light.
For the most part, yeah.
Kind of. So there you go. That's their attempt at in the middle.
An attempt, but they didn't sell me on it. Like, so well, I'm giving you that, but like
I didn't think Aquaman was crazy amazing either. I thought Aquaman was better than Batman versus Superman, but like that wasn't like a really big hurdle to jump. Like I could have skipped over that one.
Right.
But
and so in this like in that movie specifically, just because you brought it up, like the connection between people just didn't feel very real. And for me, like this movie kind of is in the same boat, although it's like light and there's some comedy that I did enjoy within the movie, so it's like better. But like even still, like at some point, I think the switch should have been flipped, but it never flipped. It was just always kind of silly and childish throughout the entire movie. And I was like, all right, it's time to get serious. And then like it never really happened. And
yeah,
so
I mean the
like,
closest thing we got to serious was like the scene where Dr. Sivana goes to like his dad's office, and that was a weird scene to not have blood in. I feel like blood was kind of necessary to really put together the gravitas of that scene. One of the demons bites a dude's heads off.
Yeah.
Like he straight square bites it off, and it's just like, okay.
Right.
And then you see like one like slashing one in the corner, and it's just like nothing, no blood, it's fine. He's fine. He's just petting him really hard.
I mean, that's kind of the tone deaf thing I feel like kind of happens in these movies, and like I don't know, like I don't even really know how to see. It's like it should have been more serious than it was, but they still kind of made it kind of childish. Like if you're gonna have demons and they're gonna go that far, like you should just go all the way.
I truly believe this movie was like designed to be watched by kids, though.
Oh yeah, easily.
Whereas a lot of the other movies, like you can feel like there's definitely like this is for the adults. Where like this one straight up felt like I was watching like a movie that was for kids, and that's fine. Like I've watched movies for kids before and still enjoyed them. Like I enjoyed this one, but that's what it felt like to me. It felt like a movie being made for kids. I mean, let's be real. It's a superhero who's essentially a kid.
Right. And
or a group of superheroes that are all kids
that never ever have a serious moment in the movie.
Yeah,
like I'm serious.
The interactions between like the all the foster kids is good. I like their all their little characters. I thought were good.
I kind of wanted more of the Mexican foster kid.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like his thing is like, you know, he's very like quiet and reserved. So
right,
that's why we don't get a lot out of him. But I think the little sister was really funny. I also like how easy she broke. Like when the older sister was like, "That's Billy," and she's like, "Oh God, you guys guessed it on your own. I don't have to hide this secret anymore." Like that's how
let it all go.
Okay.
I'm still a good sister. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
you. Also, the fact that her Shazam form was played by Megan Good, and I was just like, I'm in awe at the fact that Megan Good has been around since I was probably like 14 and has always looked the same amount attractive and like has not aged at all. She looks like she's 28, and I know she's not, and it's
and I know she's not. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, dude. Crazy, dude. Megan Good is super good looking. Good for her.
So, you know, I mean, like, and that's generally how I feel about the movie. Is it's just silly, and at some point I felt like it was supposed to get a little serious, because I mean that can be done. I feel like a lot of Disney movies have that moment to where it's serious, like it's light and playful, and then there's like that one serious moment that really kind of
look it up. They just go right into it at the beginning. They're like, let's get this out of the way. She's gonna die.
Right.
And all right, now let's have a fun movie.
Right, and that's definitely doable, you know. And I don't like living too much in this kind of fairy-go-lucky, easygoing, nothing can go wrong type of movie. You know, even though, you know, there are a bunch of people die in the boardroom or whatever, and it kind of gets a little dark there.
They're like bad guys. Like, they're not good people. I think that's the idea we're supposed to think from the boardroom people things, too. So it's not like terrible, like great, amazing people are getting killed.
Right, you know, because I mean,
like
they do
shady boardroom stuff.
Right. They do kind of paint a really big context of like what his dad's like and stuff, which is kind of terrible, you know. And it's like, you know, so I mean, that's about it, you know, and like that's just generally how I feel. There's not really much to say. It's just silly, and that's how it starts and ends for me. It's just silly.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into pros and cons. Anything?
Ironically, even though it sounded really negative, I did like the silly parts of the movie, especially when they were testing the superpowers. You know, like that was actually really fun. I really enjoyed that part of the movie.
I enjoyed the scene where they ran into like the robbers at the store.
Right, yeah, and shoot his face. Like for some reason, like that was actually really, really enjoyable. Because like even after he shot me and the bullets bounced off, I would not go, okay, yeah, now let's try the face. Yeah. Like that still wouldn't have happened for me. Yeah. You know, even at that age, but like it was just kind of really silly that they were like, yeah, let's do it, man, yeah. And he hands the gun back, you know, and I was like, you know, we all know what's gonna happen, but it was still kind of like, yeah, that's so dumb, and you could tell that they're kids, you know, and so there's like so much like,
and then on top of that, when they tasted beer,
right, yeah,
like, oh, this is terrible.
Right, or when he lights the... Like, they just did so many things that it just wouldn't do. Like, when he lit the box on fire, I was like, yo, man, like... like, that's... Like, how could you do that? Like, just no second guessing. He was just like, yeah, this will be all right, man. Like, it'll get views, man. And they just... Poof, lights him on fire. And, like, you know he's not hurt, so it's like, why'd he freak out? You know, he just... I'm like...
Well, because, I mean, I'm sure it's still... He could feel it. It's just, you know, didn't leave permanent damage.
There's no way that phased him. There's no way.
I mean, I don't know if he said we're not sure if he's fireproof or not.
It said fire immune after it. He was like, yeah. It definitely said like fire immune. It didn't hurt him, but he was just pissed off that he lit the box on fire, because obviously he lit the box on fire and then you know, didn't tell him. You know, that wasn't something he told him.
Because that was that was his thing. He was testing out other powers.
Right. I wish they would have explained the flight thing. You know, like that was kind of confusing.
He was able to just develop it eventually.
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You know, I mean, he was turning powers on randomly by accident, but you know, I guess.
I just like that he was using it to try and make like a couple bucks.
Oh
like,
yeah. That was
like he was just shooting electricity into the air.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. I agree. I like that the movie didn't really take itself too seriously, which is a problem with like a lot of these types of movies where they're just like they're just with with the DC movies, they're just like, oh, it's got to be dark and broody the whole time. We'll tell maybe 2 jokes throughout the entire movie. It's got to be dark and broody. Like, whereas this one is like very much so the opposite. Even like it's almost even like Deadpool-esque with like the comic book ending type thing where he's like making out with Wonder Woman and high-fiving Superman.
I did like the end comic. I really did enjoy the end comic. That was actually really, really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it, man. That's all I got. You know, it's just
that's everything.
Yeah, that feels like the movie. That's all I can say is the movie's silly.
I've got a couple things. One I just kind of mentioned was the nods to the other DC things within the movie, whether it be, you know, that last scene or the fact that the first time you see the brother, he's wearing like an Aquaman t-shirt and he's got all like the different superhero memorabilia and stuff, which I thought was fun. Also interesting that at the end you see Superman, but you don't see his face because, like I said, I think they don't have a Superman currently, so they were just like they just put some random buff guy in a suit and were like, "You're gonna be our Superman for now." And I thought it was a heartwarming anecdote, you know, like he just needed to find a place to survive. Him finding his mom and his mom being kind of a piece of shit was unexpected. A little thing that I found out that I didn't know: apparently, Shazam has a tiger in the comics, which is why he like little kid Billy Batson really wanted like the stuffed tiger. It was like a little nod to that. So that was a little cool. And the only cons I had was that even though I like Mark Strong and I think he plays a good villain, I just thought the villain in this movie was just kind of meh. It was just kind of like, oh, he's kind of the same, but a little different. But I think Black Adam, who's another one of like Shazam's villains, is kind of the same also. I don't know. I think he's like Black Shazam.
I think so. I think that's exactly how it works.
I'm pretty sure he's being played by The Rock, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I actually think I'd really enjoy that.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know anything about the character lore, so I really don't know. But yeah, all in all, a fun affair. I was kind of dreading yesterday going to the movies. I was like, oh, I really don't want to see this movie. Like I knew I was gonna enjoy it, but I was just like, I don't want it. Like I'm already watching Game of Thrones tonight. I don't want to watch this movie. But then I saw the movie and I was like, oh, that was fun. That was a good time. It was worth it. Worth the $0 I paid for it.
Right, and it was a decent movie. The only con I had was the fighting was really meh, you know, and like hopefully it'll improve if they do make another one. You know, like I am not.
That's the problem with like characters like this and super. They're not hand-to-hand combat fighter. They're like they are, but they don't like most of it is like flying punch, like stuff like that. Like it's not like martial artsy type fighting, so it's never gonna look really all that amazing, you know.
I don't think that's why this turned out the way it turned out, because like you know, in a lot of the like more serious animated series and stuff, they kind of did do some cool things. You know, there was a lot of characters that I actually really did enjoy in the DC universe. So like when Justice League
there are
came out,
certain characters that like have more exciting fight scenes. Like Batman, like Batman needs choreographed fight scenes because he's like fighting like multiple people and he's got a lot going on. But usually, like when I think of Shazam and like Superman fight scenes, they're very one-dimensional, like flying around using your powers. If you're fighting someone in the air, it's almost like Dragon Ball Z-esque of just like running into each other with the fists together. Like
Yeah, but I imagine that for the most part, because they can do it in animation to a large degree, that it could happen in real life to some degree, even if it is kind of computerly generated and stuff. And they
Well,
could
right, yeah,
introduce
for
some really
sure,
cool
one hundred
scenes.
percent. But I don't see like ever like those fight scenes being ever enjoyable. Not like nothing to write home about, at least with those characters, with those specific characters. Certain other characters, yeah, but definitely like I don't ever see.
I mean, I'll admit that DC kind of has that problem overall, but I mean, they could fix that. They could fix that. I don't think that's like necessarily something that needs to be done. You know, they don't have to keep up this kind of
They
track
got
record.
too many OP characters. Nerf a couple though.
I
Give them
mean,
like
Marvel does too. Like they really,
yeah,
really do.
yeah. But once again, no one's saying how great the fight scenes were in Captain Marvel either, because you know.
I mean, they did with Thanos though. There was a lot of good scenes with Thanos,
Yeah,
and
but Thanos is a fucking brawler, dude. You saw the way he handled Hulk, dude. He was bashing
yeah,
him against his knee, dude. He was getting up in
that
them.
I like a lot of the commentary I saw with him or heard about him. You know, they were like, "Yeah, Hulk got hit with the 3-piece,
Yeah, exactly,
and
dude.
quit life,
Dude,
just quit life."
Got, dude. Hulk got wrecked. He came in like real hot. He's like, yo, this Thanos guy, don't worry, we're the same size. I'm gonna take him out. And Thanos was like, all right, now
Yeah, hit him
let me
with
take
that
off the
chunky
training
three
gloves.
piece.
Pop,
Yeah,
pop, pop, pang, dude.
let him have his fun.
Hitting him with the Ali, bro. Then fucking kneeing him in the head. Ah, man, I'll never get over that scene. That scene was awesome.
I liked it. It was kind of random. I guess like it made me sad because you know seeing the Thor movie, I was kind of hype of like where that ended, and it just you know I'm like oh yeah Thor yay, and then it was like instantly nah I'm gonna
I
kill
mean,
everybody you know.
well, that's the end of Thor too. That's how Thor ended, with
Yeah, I
like
know.
them seeing Thanos' plane and just being like, "Oh poop."
I know
But like,
that's what sucked. I didn't
and
like
you
that.
got to show how strong like Thanos is not to be messed with. So you got to like take the strongest boy in in the yard, and he just got to beat the ever living crap out of him to show why you need 30 people to fight him.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. I don't know. I actually started liking Thor, and then they were like yeah
Well,
let's.
Thor was still good. Thor was the only one who was like legitimately close to beating Thanos.
This
Not
is
at the beginning there, at the end, but he
this is
did
all
almost.
true.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that. I was just sad because I was like coming off a high with Thor, and then it was like, yeah, about that high, Lance. Let's destroy that all, and like
What are you gonna do?
so it was just kind of whatever,
You
But
got to build him up to break him back down. You know.
it's just fair. But I was legitimately saddened by that. Like, oh yeah, all cool. We just watched this movie. We reviewed it. We were all happy about it. We were like, yeah, this was actually good Thor, and they were like, yeah, they're all gonna die, and it's kind of like, oh.
It's all right. Like I said,
Oh,
Thor redeems himself, and they're all probably gonna come back. I mean, I'm like 99% sure that everyone except for maybe Heimdall will come back, just because Heimdall doesn't have a poster. But he might. They like to hide stuff like that.
but that's it, man. That's all I got about the movie, man.
It-
It was a generally like a decent movie. You know, it was entertaining to a large degree. I don't think you could complain about this movie like oh the worst
No,
thing ever. You know, I'm like nah, it's supposed
no,
to
it
be
wasn't.
light. It's supposed to be fun.
I've seen bad things. This wasn't one of them. This was enjoyable. It also, like I said, and I'll say forever until I die, this movie deserved to be made in like 1997, and that just never happened, or like the early 2000s.
It would have been seen in a better light, I think.
I think it would have been seen in pretty much the same light. I just think it would have given like DC kind of more of a mold to go off of. It's a little bit late in the game to have a movie that people are starting to universally like now.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of fair. It's kind of fair.
even still, I don't know. I just felt like everything about it, like the jokes, the wit of it, everything was just very 90s-esque, which is fine. It's not an issue. I just like the entire time I thought I was watching a movie in a time machine. But I still watch movies from the 90s and I still like them. So
Right. And the only
like
thing
Turbo.
I would add is like I just I want more history. I want to understand these characters. I want to know how you're building them in this universe.
I
Is
think
it traditional
part of the
Shazam?
thing is they kind of expect you to learn that on your own. Since these are like they come from a lot of background material. Like they give you the essentials, but they want you to kind of learn the rest. They gotta sell them books, dog. It's all about pushing that book, pushing you to buy those books.
I mean, to be fair, and this may be me, like if you convince me to like a character, I might actually go do that. But like just going like teasing me doesn't work. Remember when we were talking about like, Monster Hunter, and you're like, yeah, the game gets good after that. They were just teasing you. I was like, yeah, that's not gonna get me. I give like anime and everything else.
You gotta learn the techniques before you fight something that can actually beat your bob-omb. You gotta figure out what you're doing. If they put you right in there at the beginning and the first boss is Anjanath without like any sort of training or learning how to play on the earlier bosses, I don't think anybody like maybe half the players would have continued playing it. But they got to give you those easy bosses to build you up, so you're like, okay, I get the hang of this game. I know where this is going. Like I can handle it. I'm a kind of a big deal. I beat all these monsters that they're throwing in my face. So then when they throw the first real challenging one, you're like, oh, okay, it's one of these. All right. And then you have to resituate. You have to figure out all those things you've learned and put them all to use at the same time. It's a teaching experiment.
I'm not about that. I guess. It's like I don't know what else to say. It was like, it took too long to get good. I was pretty much done with the game when we got to the first real boss, as you would put it. Like, oh, I'm done. I don't even care anymore. I don't care. So that's cool. But this movie, like, I just wish it had a little bit more history. I would have enjoyed it a lot more, and that's kind of where I'd leave it.
I'm kind of glad it didn't, because if this movie was any longer, I probably would not have liked it. It was already pretty long.
Okay. So I guess we could go straight into the ratings.
Yeah.
Did I rate first last time?
I don't know. I started first, so I'll rate first, I guess. We'll do that.
Okay.
Whoever starts first, race first. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. And yeah, definitely see it. It's a fun movie. It's worth the 2 hours. Not much more than that, though.
I mean, like, it could have simply been, like, kind of like something at the end where, like, you kind of see the wizard again, and he's like,
the wizard's dead.
I know.
I can see him.
I don't know how they would work in the history, but it wouldn't have to be anything extreme.
They took over those chairs. Those are their chairs now. They have a lair. I don't know how they're gonna get back there. They didn't really explain.
Exactly.
Because they didn't get there on purpose. They were brought, like, they went there with what's his name, with Mark Strong. I don't know if they like copied down the symbols that he wrote down, but
I think they just thought themselves there, or Shazam did. It doesn't matter because we don't really know either way. But I'd give this movie a 6. If you don't know how my rating scale works, 5 is dead in the center. I think it's a little bit better than average, especially for the series of movies that DC kind of released. Although I don't hate DC movies. They're just kind of meh.
yeah, I just don't like them because they're not good.
They're like meh, and so this one was slightly better than that for sure. It's worth watching. Would I go out of my way to go to the movie theater to kind of watch it? Maybe not. But, at the very least, it is enjoyable.
Definitely a rent.
Yeah, it's definitely like. And if you're a kid and you have kids,
yeah. If you are a kid,
you have kids,
or
boom.
like have anybody who is a kid, they will love this movie.
Yeah. That's an easy. But as far as
very much so movie that kids will enjoy.
Right. Anything else is kind of like
Like I got the same feeling from watching this movie as I probably did from watching Harry the Spy when I was growing up, or one of those other like Nickelodeon movies, Good Burger. Good Burger is a great movie.
I was about to say, bro. Like, why would you do that? Like, I like Good Burger now.
100% a good. Is 100% a kid movie. I like this movie now, and it's a kid movie.
Good Burger is good though.
Good Burger is fine, but
it's
Good
really
Burger
good.
is 100% a movie made for kids.
Yeah, fair. I'm just saying, you know, like I don't know if that was
good.
I don't know if that was an insult or not. I'm like,
No,
yo, I'm not.
it wasn't an insult.
Okay,
I like
all right.
Harriet the Spy as well.
Okay, all right, cool. Just making sure. Just you know, making sure to pump the brakes.
Way
like,
too
whoa,
defensive on your
whoa.
Good Burger, man. I didn't know you were such a Good Burger fan.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I just didn't know that I was like just the mentioning of Good Burger was gonna get an audible reaction. Like, whoa, step back there. What are you doing talking about my Good Burger? Like
You better take it easy, son.
What do you work for Mondo Burger or something, huh?
But I guess that does it for us, you know. Endgame doesn't come out next week. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get tickets anyway.
Yeah,
But,
I already have tickets for that opening week, but we can go we could do it later.
Yeah. So I want to do Sorry to Bother You. I really want to do that.
Okay.
Like so next week if Dan's good with it, and I think he is.
I mean, I've already seen it, so I have no problem.
Right. Sorry to Bother You is what's going to be next. Hopefully I can watch it with my wife, because every movie that I'm like, yo, we need to watch this together, she's always like, no.
Just as a heads up.
Okay. So yeah, that's what we'll probably do next week. We did change the time. It is now at 9 p.m. So we're here. We're getting it done, and you know, that's about it. But that's all I got. Anything else, Dan?
No, that's all I've got for right now. Thanks for watching.
All right. We will see you guys in next week.